The film begins with a shocking scene. A man is falling to his death from the top of a tall building. We're immediately left wondering how this tragedy came to be, and the story will rewind to show us exactly what led to this moment. The next scene jumps forward, and we find Vincent at the police station. He's being questioned as the main suspect in a girl's murder. Vincent insists that he's being framed and that the whole thing is a setup, but the police aren't buying it. They pressure him to confess, telling him it will save him from a mountain of legal bills. Vincent tries to explain his side of the story, so the police finally tell him to start from the very beginning. The story then flashes back to that fateful morning. A man named Luke arrives at a building. He goes inside and is horrified to find the dead body of a girl. At the time, Vincent was alone at home because his wife had taken their children to another city. Terrified, Luke immediately calls Vincent, who is also shocked by the news. Luke then calls all of his friends, but he can't get a hold of one of them, Philip. He realizes that only 5 of them have a key to this flat. Since the door was locked when Luke arrived, it means one of those 5 friends must be involved. The police also bring Luke in for questioning. They ask him about the flat, but he pretends he doesn't know anything about it. The police reveal that he was sharing the flat with 4 of his friends and that they bought it to have secret affairs without getting caught. Luke denies this, stating that he's happy in his marriage and would never do something like that. When they ask where he was that morning, he claims he was with his friend Chris, who is also one of the 5 friends. Chris also showed up at the flat after the body was found. One of the friends, Philip, has a criminal record, which makes everyone suspect he might be the killer. Another friend, Marnix, also arrived at the scene shortly after. Everyone is scared and confused, but Vincent tries to calm them down. He reminds them they are friends and that they will face this difficult situation together. The story then flashes back even further, to 1 year earlier. Vincent, an architect, is hosting an inauguration party for his new building. He has invited all of his friends. Chris arrives with his wife, Allison, but she seems bored and uninterested in his friends. This has created some problems in their marriage. Meanwhile, Luke and Marnix are scanning the party for attractive women until Marnix's wife comes and separates them. At the party, a beautiful woman named and approaches Chris. She recognizes him and tells him he's a psychologist. When Chris asks how she knows, and reveals that her sister was his patient and that she committed suicide due to severe depression, Chris feels terrible about it, but tells him that her sister had always been very sad. They continue talking, and tells Chris that she works as a personal assistant for the city councilman. Meanwhile, Philip is openly flirting with 2 women. Vincent approaches him, scolding him for his behavior. Philip defends himself, saying that being married doesn't mean he can't still find other women attractive. Chris also tries to talk sense into him, but Philip won't listen. Vincent then gathers his friends to show them something. Chris and are still looking at each other from across the room. Vincent leads his friends to a flat in a prime location. He tells them they can all buy it together. He explains that if they have affairs, their credit card activity and hotel bills could get them caught. However, if they have their own private flat, they won't have to worry about a thing. He proposes they all pay for it little by little. Back in the present, after they find the girl's dead body, Luke gets scared and wants to leave. Vincent gets angry at him but then calms everyone down, assuring them that they'll get through this. He tries to call Philip again, but there's no answer. Vincent tells Chris that he doesn't think they'll be able to save Philip this time. Vincent finds a pillow with something written on it in Latin. When the police question Chris about it, he translates it for them. It says, "This fate will unite us again." The mystery deepens, and the police now have another clue to solve the murder. The director suggests that maybe Chris was the one who did it, taking the victim's hand. But Chris points out a critical flaw. The Latin phrase found at the scene had a grammatical error. He argues that as a highly educated individual, he would never make such a mistake. The police then press him about his brother, Philip. Chris explains that while they share the same mother, they didn't have a close relationship in childhood because their father was abusive. He would frequently beat their mother and Philip. However, as adults, their bond became much stronger. At the murder scene, Marnix finds a knife. Philip arrives soon after, and everyone immediately looks at him, asking if he's the killer. Philip defends himself, saying he was with his in-laws all night. When asked why he came to the flat, he says he was there to check on a construction site. Philip then turns on Vincent, demanding to know where he was. Vincent claims he was at home, but when Philip asks for confirmation, Vincent says his family is out of town and that Philip will just have to trust him. A fight breaks out, but Chris calms them down, reminding them that they are all in this together and need to think about their situation. The story flashes back again to Philip's wedding. His father-in-law, a friend of the city councilman, is in the construction business and has secured all the major contracts. Everyone at the wedding is talking about how Philip is about to become rich. And Faye is also at the wedding, accompanying the councilman. As a wedding gift, Vincent gives Philip a key to the new secret flat. He explains that there are only 5 keys, and making more requires special codes locked in Vincent's safe. Everyone takes a key except for Chris, who says he has no interest in having affairs. Vincent reminds everyone that their secret must be kept absolutely confidential. Vincent notices Philip's sister, Jo, at the party and finds her attractive, but Philip warns him to stay away from her. Marnix playfully teases Philip about Jo, which angers Philip, and he hurts him. Philip's father-in-law sees this and is not pleased. Chris sees and leaving the party and follows her. He teases her about being a dedicated personal assistant to the councilman, even on weekends, and asks if there's anything more going on between them, and confesses that she often falls for the wrong men. She reveals that the councilman wanted her to stay, but she threw him out during an important meeting. Chris asks why she lets him use her, and she replies that maybe she is using him. She enjoys talking to Chris and suggests they get coffee sometime. Chris agrees. After the wedding, Chris has a change of heart and goes to Vincent to get a key to the flat. Back at the murder scene, Vincent asks everyone to show their keys. Everyone has theirs, but Chris doesn't. This immediately makes them suspicious. Chris says he doesn't always carry it and that someone else must have opened the door for him. Vincent realizes that the murdered girl may have let the killer in. In another flashback, the friends are having dinner with their wives. Vincent's wife tells a story about her boss who got caught having an affair and had to pay a huge amount to his wife. A drunk Marnix says her boss should have been smarter, and he is about to mention the secret flat when Luke stops him. Luke's wife becomes suspicious and says she can tolerate many things, but not if her husband loves someone else. Luke denies it. At the murder scene, they notice the girl's hands were tied. Vincent suggests that someone might be trying to frame them because of their affairs. Maybe one of their wives found out, or maybe the victim had a jealous boyfriend. He urges anyone who has a problem with anyone to speak up now. Chris then remembers he had an affair with her and fell in love, confessing his feelings to her. But tells him he doesn't truly know her, that their time together doesn't mean anything. She says that people you love can hurt you. Chris, sincere in his feelings, says, "I love you," again, and then reveals the truth. She is a sex worker who gets paid to spend the night with men. She tells him to go back to his family. The scene shifts back to the present, and the police are questioning Marnix, asking him about his wife's intention to divorce him. The police ask Marnix if he took any women to the secret flat. Marnix responds that his affair had nothing to do with the flat. He says he went to a convention in San Diego and had an affair there. The story flashes back to a trip to San Diego, where Vincent, Luke, and Marnix were together. While at a bar, they run into Philip's father-in-law, who is with another woman. He immediately approaches Vincent, begging him to keep his affair a secret. In exchange for Vincent's silence, he promises Vincent a huge contract. A woman named Sarah approaches Vincent and they start talking, along with her friend. They all go to a pool, where Sarah and Vincent begin to flirt. Sarah calls Luke, but Vincent sends him away so he and Sarah can be alone. The two of them become intimate. The story then jumps forward, revealing that their affair continued. Sarah fell in love with Vincent, but Vincent ultimately left her. The dead body they found in the flat is Sarah's. Luke finds a bottle of wine at the scene and points out to Vincent that he must have been there the night before. Just as Vincent is about to explain, he gets a call. Someone has listed their secret flat for sale, which deeply disturbs him. He wonders who could have done such a thing. Vincent confesses to his friends that he knew the girl, Sarah, and that he was with her at the flat the night before. He insists that he left her and didn't kill her. Chris then asks who tried to sell the flat. In a different scene, we see that Ann is no longer speaking to Chris. He tries to approach her, but even though he knows the truth about her, he is still in love. Despite his feelings, and walks away from him. After hearing Vincent's confession, Philip becomes enraged and tries to attack Vincent with a knife, but the others stop him. In the past, Philip's wife had found out about her husband's affair, and he had gone to Vincent for comfort. Vincent promised to talk to his wife and that everything would be okay. Back at the crime scene, Vincent suggests that they need to deal with the body. They notice that Sarah's hands are tied with handcuffs, and Vincent suggests that Philip has experience with this, a reference to a time Philip had to be helped by his friends after kidnapping a sex worker. Afterward, Luke reveals that he secretly recorded everything that happened in the flat. He didn't record the night before because he didn't know Vincent would be there. In a flashback to a charity party, Chris's wife is uninterested in the event. Philip's father-in-law and the city councilman are also present, along with Ann. Vincent discovers Philip's father-in-law gave a construction contract to someone else, so he subtly threatens to expose the man's affair to his wife. Philip becomes angry when men approach his young sister. The councilman tells Chris that Vincent should stop blackmailing Philip's father-in-law. Chris responds that the councilman should leave and alone, but the councilman reveals someone else was paying Chris. Chris asks Ann about it, but she refuses to tell him. Philip gets into a fight with a man at the party who was talking to his sister. Sarah also shows up, wanting Vincent to herself. Back in the present, Vincent realizes his wife found out about his affair and is trying to frame him. He then realizes his 4 friends are also working together to frame him. When he first arrived at the flat, Sarah had committed suicide. Luke had stayed behind after Vincent left and called their friends. He showed them his recordings, which revealed Vincent had affairs with Marnix's wife and Philip's sister. Furious, they set up the scene to look like a murder. A police officer tells Chris that Sarah's death wasn't just from sleeping pills, she had also cut herself. Chris, suspecting Luke, goes to the flat. Luke arrives and Chris demands to know why he did it. Luke explains that he was interested in Sarah first, but Vincent stole her away. Luke confesses that after Vincent left, he went to the flat, put a sleeping pill in Sarah's wine, and gave her an overdose. Chris realizes Luke also cut Sarah's wrist, not Philip. Luke tries to kill Chris, but during the fight, Chris gets the knife. Luke jumps from the building, committing suicide. After some time, the police release Vincent. His wife has forgiven him, and they are happy. Chris meets Ann, who tells him she has left her old work behind. She asks him if they can get coffee, and since Chris has always loved her, he says yes. The film ends with them together, walking away. Here the movie ends.